Hello, everybody. It's another Broncos win. He's got the Broncos hat back on against all the odds. I genuinely can't believe it. Uh, Denver Broncos pull it off again. The Buffs had a great day yesterday. We're going to keep this thing rolling until it goes bad. Uh, but wow, after such an up and down game, I feel like I was deeply depressed, wildly ecstatic at different points in this game. Where are you at right now, David?
Incredible, man. Incredible. I think I lived 9 lives during that fourth quarter. That was insane, man. The swings of momentum, the great plays that we made, the dumb plays that we didn't make. Missing the challenge at the end, I was like, no, after the missed field goal. But I knew this, Zach, when this game was the way it was going in the first half, I was like, man, this is a dog fight. This is a dog fight. And I just knew, I just had this feeling. If we can just put together two drives, we could get this W. And that's exactly what we did, man. Credit to the team. A resilient performance. And man, this was a throwback and true to form, Nathaniel Hackett type of offensive football from the Denver Broncos, but it was just enough to get the victory over Nathaniel Hackett and those Aaron Rodgers cringe New York Jets. Wasn't that the most New York Jets ending ever, Zach?
Oh, it was amazing. I cannot believe, especially with Greg the Lake, how money he's been these past 2 seasons. I want to say for the Jets. The Will Lutz miss. We can get into that too. I think that could have been. They probably should have seen that coming to some extent. But Morstead, or not Morstead, sorry, Greg the Lake has been money for them for 2 years from distance, from everything. They were inside his range by a few 3 yards. The weather didn't seem to be affecting him earlier in the game, and he missed that one so badly. And I mean, a big picture, I think the Broncos have to feel so good that they're 2-2 right now. I don't know the other morning results. Admittedly, I've been so locked in on this one. But to my knowledge, Seahawks undefeated. To date. Steelers undefeated to date. Bucks undefeated outside of that Broncos game. Looks like they just laid one on the Eagles too. The Jets have, one loss outside the Broncos. It was a road game against the reigning NFC champions.
In a
And,
monsoon in that first half.
And then the Broncos just did it. I cannot believe it. And so 2-2 record with the Bengals stumbling how they've stumbled. So many of these AFC teams kind of coming out of the gate a little lackluster. The Colts, for example, everyone thought they'd be in the wild card mix. It's crazy to say it right now. I think it probably comes back down to earth. I did say the same thing last year though, and I was wrong for a long time. I think this team's in the wild card mix right now. It's crazy.
Oh,
I can't believe
yes.
it. I don't know if they deserve to be with how bad the first half is, but at 2-2, they're there, and the schedule gets easier now.
It is just, once this offense starts clicking, baby, that's just the key. If we can get out to more leads like we got out to against the Bucks, but man, like Zach, I'm just so proud, especially such a young team. Them just playing so resilient, not giving up, man, when things weren't going their way. Like Riley Moss, man, got that whatever, man. That flag at the end, whatever. But the defense still stepping up to make plays. They never tuned out. And yeah, this wasn't a perfect game from the Broncos offensively or anything like that. Obviously, it's never ideal to kick a 50-yarder in the rain and wind at the end of the game. But this was an awesome victory. Are you not entertained? Are you not happy? I am just thrilled with how this team, they don't give up. And I want to give a couple shout outs if that's okay, Zach.
Please.
Let's give some shout outs to a guy that, honestly, man, I've been shitting on a ton. Javonte Williams, the stat line probably isn't that great, but he had some big time runs for us in the second half. He was crucial for us on that touchdown run and, showed some vision, right? Maybe he's going to get there, but it was so great to see Javonte get some great runs going, and Jaleel McLaughlin had some too. And I just want to give credit to Bo Nix, man. After this half ended, I just said, man, again, we just need 2 drives. And he gave us 2 drives. He gave us those 2 drives. This was a game of inches, Zach. I mean, when you saw Cortland Sutton go up and catch that touchdown, I thought that was going to be reversed. I'm going to be honest. That was a really close one. There were a lot of close calls. It's a shame that we ran out of challenges at the end because Aaron Rodgers fumbled. But honestly, I didn't really have a problem with the first 2 challenges. They just didn't go our way. But this was such a game of inches, man. With the field goals, everything like that. But shout out to those guys. We made just enough plays, more good plays than bad plays to win.
It was unreal. And I mean, the defense was amazing. Commenting on some of your highlights there really quick. Javonte, absolutely. The Beatty thing I'm worried about. I hope we get good news there. But they needed someone to step up in this run game. And I thought McLaughlin had a better day too. But Javonte had some unreal, like hard runs, vintage Javonte Williams late in that game to really help the Broncos out, win their offense. Needed just anything. He came through in a big way. Bo Nix, I agree. One thing that I am very happy with Bo Nix, and we can get into the negative of it all later. Let's keep it all positive. But
that's
one
for
thing
later in the
I
week.
will say, yeah, one thing I will absolutely say positive about Bo Nix. Every single week, he's improved. As the game's gone on, he's had 3 kind of ugly games so far, if we're being real. And the Broncos, hey, they're sitting at 2-2. He's a rookie, first 4 games of his career, hard defenses, bad weather, all things true. But we can acknowledge, maybe 3 sneakers in there. I think in all 3 of those games, the second half was markedly better, like a big step up than the first half. And they're all games like the Broncos lose to the Seahawks by a single possession. If they make a stop there, they have a chance to win that thing. At a point I missed off the top while we were just trying to peep out, man, this pass rush was amazing. Harassing Aaron Rodgers nonstop. Zach Allen, he's definitely going to be still leading interior defensive lineman in pressures after this one. He was in the backfield, it felt like, every single play. Benito making play. Everyone, the pressure was coming from everywhere. Vance Joseph was cooking like crazy. And I will say, maybe there was a little bit of, I don't know, balancing of the scales when Greg the Leg hooked the heck out of that kick. Because the game might have been over if the refs accurately officiated Aaron Rodgers fumbling the ball, Jonah Ellis scooping it up, and him taking it to the house. I've seen over really the last 3-4 years, officials in college, I think high school, pro game have gotten so much better at, you do not blow that dead. Call it a fumble on the field. Call it a fumble on the field. Then you review it, and you can get it right. And it no harm, no foul. It should always be that way. Man, they got robbed of 7 points there. So you know what? Big blow of wind, get some 3 back. It feels a little fair.
Yes, no doubt about it. And I want to talk about the pass rush a little bit, Zach.
Please do.
I haven't been so confident in a pass rush maybe since 2015 Broncos, man. Like, these guys are getting after it just collectively from the interior, from the outside, and credit, man, to Aaron Rodgers, because this guy was still slippery as heck in the pocket, making crazy 3rd and long throws, I think, throughout the game, like keeping his team in it. He just kind of got cold at the end of the game, thank God. But if he was a little bit less sneaky there back in the pocket for the majority of the game, who knows what that sack total would have been. I mean, the guys were getting after it, and credit to Vance Joseph. That blitz with PJ Locke at the end on their second to last possession on 4th down, that was just a thing of beauty. Zach, I love the identity that this defense has developed. I love how everybody's physical, man. The defensive line is physical. The linebackers, man, they're gonna make plays. They're gonna hurt you. And the DBs, can we talk about, again, it reminds me of the physicality of the 2015 Broncos in a sense. Like, Riley Moss can tackle, Pat Surtain can. We saw Brandon Jones, man, really bringing it again. A nice little forced fumble to start the game, right? And PJ Locke, another physical guy. Like this is Denver Broncos football. This is Denver Broncos defense, man, and it's a treat to watch. I love it, even if our offense isn't always rolling. It's great to fall back on this defense and just watch them get after it, man.
It's stellar. I mean, it's just. I agree with what you said. The coverage has been amazing. The pass rush has been amazing. I think this has the chance to be their best defense, since at least 2016. We need to see more of them before we go that far. But I would say right now the pass rush is definitely the best we've seen since 2015. I mean, they are getting after it. You mentioned the Rodgers thing today, and I think that just perfectly captures it so well. Rodgers is a quarterback that's great at avoiding sacks. He was sacked 5 times today. First 3 weeks of the season, off a torn Achilles, all this stuff, sacked 5 times total. And a lot of that's the pass rush. A lot of it's also the coverage too. Rodgers is a guy who can get rid of the ball quickly, but he was not able to so many times today because the rush was there. It ended up being an incomplete pass, and the pass rush ended up not really getting there. But there was that I think it was the second or third down where the Jets are in empty late in the game. And he shifts right, and he throws the ball, and has to hold it for a second or two. You don't do that in empty. In empty, you are trying to unload the ball quick. He was holding it for a second there because the coverage was so sticky, and that was throughout the game. He wasn't able to throw the ball away when he wanted to. Entering this game, the narrative was how mobile Rodgers looked despite his injury and everything. As he exits this game, the narrative is how immobile and how battered he looks after what the Broncos did to him. This defense was amazing, and the coverage. Brandon Jones, I was higher on that signing, I think, than most people. It is, I think, probably exceeded even their wildest expectations. They got him on a steal of a contract. And it's because, injury year last year, or 2 years ago, rather. Last year, he's in this Vic Fangio defense, doesn't match his strengths. They are getting, like, his first 2 years in the league under Brian Flores, which has, his defense has some similarities to Vance Joseph. You saw the promise of a really exciting young safety with some real gaps in his game, but something fun was there. And it went away these last 2 years. The Broncos look like it never left off. Like if the injury never happened, if the Vic Fangio thing never happened, and that player just kept developing up until year 5, that's what it looks like the Broncos have in Brandon Jones right now. And we talked about the physicality in the secondary, which I absolutely agree with. Shout out to Jim Leonard, huge hire. Yes. I think he is a huge reason why that is showing up. Hard-hitting safety that always had those Wisconsin defenses hitting hard. I think that is a huge reason for the dialed-up physicality we're seeing.
Oh, no doubt. And it is just a thing of beauty, Zach. We have an identity, just what it means to play defense for the Denver Broncos, the Orange Crush, going all the way back to that. But it's having physical secondaries, having safeties, man, that really bring pain has been consistent throughout our history. And right now I'm loving this duo right now between PJ Locke and Brandon Jones. Again, man, it just it always feels good when you got guys and you're just getting the next iteration of good Denver Broncos defense, man. It's a wonderful thing to watch. I gotta say this is a random thought. I just had to get this out, Zach. I think it did not surprise me at all. And it felt so good to see that this Jets offense got all the talent in the world. They got weapons all over the place. I mean, I wish we had weapons like this all throughout the roster that they have, but you just saw the lack of discipline so often, the false starts, the procedural penalties, the illegal man downfield, all of that just always stunting their drives. It does not shock me that a Nathaniel Hackett coached offense just never can quite seem to get out of their way in crunch time, man. And it was we had some penalties on our end, but I believe that we won the penalty battle by a wide margin. I do believe, man, the better football team won today. I believe it.
Well, I'm with it's possible. I would say this. I think the Broncos defense is more special than the Jets.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm there, and I'm not pushing back too hard. I think the Jets offense has a good lead on the Broncos defense or Broncos
Mhm.
offense, excuse
Yeah.
me. But I mean, this defense, we didn't mention it when we were hyping up the pass rush and everything. The biggest question about this defense was what can they do against the run? They get gashed by Bucky Irving last week. They, got gashed by Kenneth Walker in week one. With Brees Hall, Braylon Allen, what's going to happen to him?
Yes.
And they removed Brees Hall from the game. Like Brees Hall got benched because what they were doing to him. Braylon Allen was okay, but as a whole, they just removed this Jets rushing attack from the picture in a rainy day when they really wanted to be leaning on it. I mean, this defense I think is really really special, especially
Yes.
because the offense has not been putting them in great situations for 3 out of 4 weeks, and they keep rising to the challenge. Like I really think right now this is an elite defense. I don't think
Yeah.
national media has caught up to it because
No.
the Broncos aren't supposed to be a good team this year. But how they are playing right now, the Patriots are another top defense in the league. They got shelled. They got shelled by this same exact Jets team. And the weather definitely helped. I'll own that. But that's not the difference between 31 points and 9 points is the rain. Like this defense is, at least in my opinion, right now, top three in the league. They are doing, especially with the Browns, Ravens, these teams coming
Yes.
back to the pack,
Yes.
they might be top one in the league with what they're doing. And the offense just, if it ends up being the excuses that I think we can afford the offense, which is they really didn't get to practice this week. If people were following the reports throughout this week, their whole plan, their East Coast road trip plan, went horribly awry because of Hurricane Helene, and they have been stuck doing walkthroughs on tennis courts. Like they haven't really had a true practice this week.
No.
Awful conditions in the game. I was like, come on, this is rain. Like that's not enough to excuse how bad Bo Nix is looking right now. I had a ton of people reach out to me that were at the game going, I'm telling you, Zach, I've lived in New York. I've gone to a lot of games. This is especially bad. So let's say, hey, no practice, especially bad rain game. Let's afford all the excuses. If they come back week 5 against a good Raiders defense and it doesn't even have to look as good as week 3, but if it looks more put together than there's not a half of
Yes.
football where it's just mired in muck. I would be feeling great about
Yeah.
this team right now because the defense is elite. I feel that pretty confidently.
Can we just have an average offense this year, man? I feel like this defense should be able to keep us in there, man. And I think those are wonderful points, Zach. I did want to hit on this. How could we forget about this? One of the things I was kind of nervous about coming into this game was no Alex Singleton, man, our captain, out. And
Oh,
um,
great call.
yeah, like what'd you think about the linebacker play? Cody Barton, Justin Sternad. I think Welsh got in there a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Sternad, great call by you. Yeah, Justin Sternad was maybe the star of the day. I mean, and there were maybe players that made more of an impact or bigger individual plays, but uh, he played like maybe an upgrade on Alex Singleton. And I hate to say that with Singleton being injured, but and Sternad was a problem. I remember, 2, 3 years ago, they played the Browns and they have to have Sternad come into that game, and he got ran the hell over. They brutalized that man. This week, they're playing another strong rushing team that wants to attack him that way. And he was all over the place, tackles in the backfield, a sack in the quarterback on the first play of the game. Justin Sternad, um, if he keeps playing like this, I mean, I guess I don't know, man. He might be starting next year.
Yeah,
That's where it's at because
you save
I
six
mean
million cutting Singleton. Just saying.
and it seemed like that move was coming anyways with the ACL tear. But I mean, now, like, my thing was okay. Singleton's gone, and then it's something else. Now I think it's Sternad, and I think Sternad's contract is up too after this year, so he's probably making himself a good deal of money with this showing.
Incredible, man. And again, I can be less patient than the coaching staff with some of these guys because coming into this year, I'm like, Sternad, man, he's not going to give us anything on defense from what we've seen. And then we saw it in
Yep.
preseason. He had some pretty good showings out there, but of course, that's preseason. He blew my expectations, out of the water today with how he played. And yeah, Cody Barton, credit to him, man. With the green dot today, this is his first year in the defense, and he is already calling the plays, getting
Good point.
everybody lined up. credit to him, man. I was so happy with our linebacker play, especially given that injury.
I'm with you. The linebacker play was great. Now I think it was 90% awesome for the Broncos. I will say, or coming out of this game, you got to feel great. Offense looks great. Special teams, mostly good day outside of the Will Lutz miss. I think the line played well. Running game took a big step forward. Lots of positives. It was Bo Nix even in the second half might be a positive, but I do think, at least for me personally, I come away from this game, and as good as I'm feeling, I have some questions about the two most important pieces of this operation. Sean Payton and Bo Nix. I think we saw some problems with uh, the offense again today. Like, you don't want to be, for all the problems that do exist on this offense, and they are there. It's disappointing to see like worst of the 21st century metrics popping up. And there was like historically bad stats from week 1 and week 2 and now week 4. And I do think it's fair to hope that, as questionable as everything else is, with all they're giving to Sean Payton and all they've given up for Sean Payton, he should be giving you somewhat of an offensive infrastructure that it's not reaching, those historic lows. That is one thing for me. The other, I want to see Bo Nix just look more dialed in. It is still concerning to me, and hopefully it is weather. This was a really tough defense he played. I understand all the reasons why it might have been bad. Fourth game of his career, yada, yada, yada. But I think week 1, week 2, week 4, the things that are concerning to me there are, I think the worst aspects of Nix's game have arguably been his accuracy and his poise in those moments. And the thing that's supposed to be best about him is his accuracy and his poise. And I think you can cut that both ways. I think you can negative spin that and go, oh my God, if he doesn't have his biggest strengths to fall back on, this could really go awry. Or you could say, those are his two biggest strengths. We've seen a lot of sample size of him handling those aspects well. He just needs to adjust to the NFL game, and those things will get dialed in. And if those are the holes in his game now, and we feel much better about his physical traits, which probably were the biggest questions preseason, maybe this thing could go a lot further. I could spin it either way. It doesn't have to look as good as it did week 3, but just a little more confident and just like settled and steady, I guess might be a word. I'm fine with some interceptions being thrown. I'm fine with some rookie mistakes, but I just want it to not look panicked, I guess.
Yeah. And I would say that was, definitely the biggest disappointment in the first half and starting the game is that, man, we look how great we looked against the Bucks, which, by the way, they had a nice bounce back this week against the Eagles. If they finished that game off, I think they had a pretty big lead. But it's so great to be able to talk about this after a win like this. But did he have? That is insane. Did he have negative passing yardage at the half? That is insane.
Sure.
And I don't know, Zach. There were so many. Again, I guess you're just trying to get a feel for how the Jets are going to play certain things on defense, but I hated the play calling in the first half. A lot of these dumps, flats. We'll have to look at the all 22 when that's posted just to see were there guys open or was there good coverage? The Jets got some good cover guys as well. And I think as much as we love some of these guys, as much as I love some of them, this is still an offense that it's probably going to be in between this game and the Bucks performance, hopefully most weeks. We don't have, running back. We don't have anything consistent there. Hopefully Tyler Baday's okay after hopefully he didn't break his back or anything like that, but took a shot. All of our running backs have one fumble. Our wide receivers are definitely up and down. I don't know what to expect on offense from week to week, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Just get if it's just between the two extremes. You put it perfectly. That's all I think you need to see. Just a little more on offense. I love this point because I do think the Broncos offense outplayed the Jets, all things considered. As ugly as the pass game was, the Broncos run game was there today, and you had some spikes. I don't know. I want to see it just get a little more dialed in, just see some improvement, see some growth. The point
Yeah,
about the all 22 is one I want to echo, though. Weeks 1 and 2, I was there yelling. I don't know if I was yelling on Twitter. I was at least yelling in our LTB group chat. Uh, Open up the offense, Sean Payton. Like, I know you want
yeah,
to give the guy some training wheels. You're suffocating him right now. You're putting too many training wheels on this thing. And then I watched the all 22 and I was like, oh no, there were some downfield plays and Nick's just wasn't taking advantage of
yeah,
them. That
yeah,
I felt that way both weeks 1 and 2.
yeah.
Now, week 3 was not that way because Nick's was hitting those downfield shots. I want to
Right.
see this week because I it could be either way. Is Nick's missing open players downfield? Or like are there downfield shots and it's just covered up, right? Because then, hey, good job,
Yes.
Knicks. Are there downfield shots and it's not covered up? All right, that's concerning on Knicks. Are there no downfield shots and it is really dink and dunk? All right, then Sean Payton, what are we doing here? You're suffocating the offense. Um, that's just one thing I would say because I now the thing I will blame Payton for, I think the first challenge he used was bad. I don't think he should have done that. And I think just feeling where the game was at with a
Mhm.
minute and a half left, Will Lutz has not been good from 50 plus over the last 2, 3 years now. He hasn't really been good since 2019 or whenever he was last healthy. Um, uh, your defense is playing amazing football. Your pass rush is great, and they're now in a position where they have to throw the ball. They only have to get to the 40, so you're leaving them with a really short field if you miss the thing. And your punter has been playing pretty damn amazing for the most part. Just punt the thing, and pin
That's
them
how,
inside
yeah.
the 10 and dare them to drive 50 yards on this defense. To me, that was the biggest mistake Peyton made. And then, of course, the first challenge, I think you keep that one in your pocket. You're able to challenge the Jonah Ellis play later.
I'll
Those are my
say
two
one
things.
that I didn't like, and Zach, you're absolutely right on that. There was a part of me that was like, "Hey, we're gonna kick it. We're gonna trust Lutz," but there's a part of me it's like, "Man, should we just pin him deep? Should we just pin him deep with how this defense is playing?" And we got away with it. Like we got away with
They
it there.
did.
But let's see, who was it? Somebody in the chat, Merlo, saying Sean Payton called 2
Yeah.
long plays when we needed short yards to pick up the first down. Remember, there was like that 3rd and 5 or 3rd and
Yes.
4. Maybe it was like a 3rd and 3.5, something like that.
One of the early drives. Yeah.
Yes, and we take that deep shot. It might have been to Josh Reynolds or somebody. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like it was clear we're gonna go for it if we're taking a deep shot on 3rd down. And we were running the ball fairly good on that drive, I felt. And no, we just end up punting it. Like those little things, like with how the game was going, it just didn't make any sense, man. That's how it's easy to be the hindsight's always 2020, but those were things, man, that I didn't feel like they were going in the flow of the game. And yeah, I'm just glad we were able to overcome that and make adjustments to string together some solid drives in the second half.
Yeah, and I will say that I do come out of this game feeling like a little like ugh, about Sean Payton. But for as much as he is like responsible for the offense, and the offense has to improve, it looks poorly coached. All those points stand.
Yeah.
He's also here to just like make the Broncos a more adult organization. Like the
Yes.
Nathaniel Hackett thing was embarrassing for the whole organization, and I think was like that and the Russell Wilson trade embarrassments for the organization, and kind of just the low point of
Yeah.
what this post Manning era has been, and the point that really made the Broncos the biggest laughing stock. And yes, Sean Payton was brought in to fix the offense and fix the quarterback position, and those points he still is worthy of critique on. But he was
Yeah.
also brought in to like make it a grown up organization and winning games like they win today, where the offense is abhorrent for a half. It's in the muck, it's in the rain. You're making mistakes. You're getting called for penalties and whatever, but you make less mistakes than the other team. You get penalized less than the other team still. You like that's the and comes down to the wire and you win in those tight moments. That's part of it. And then again, the 2 games they've lost, it's a loss to a 3-1 Steelers team by 6 points, and then a 6-point loss to a 3-1 or 4-0 Seahawks team. Depending on how their game today goes. So I think you're feeling pretty good about that aspect.
Yeah. And one reason that I was like always a fan of the Sean Payton hire, Hammer Sports brought this up. Payton can be overrated as a coach, but also still be a very good coach. Yeah, don't mistake when I'm talking about Sean Payton and my belief in him. don't mistake that for
Very
me
true.
saying that he's perfect or that he doesn't have flaws. Like, he can be a little stubborn sometimes, right? All of that. But he cares about all phases of the team, which we haven't had a head coach here in a very long time that was invested in the identity on special teams, the identity and philosophy on defense, along with the offense. Or in Vic Fangio's case, he just cared about the defense and just let the coordinator just run the offense type of stuff. He's somebody who oversees the entire operation, and we saw special teams and well, aside from that kick, we'll give him a pass
Yeah.
there. But the defense, these guys are playing like Sean Payton football, man, and that's great to see. This is a mentally tough team, and that's what we needed with Sean
Yeah.
Payton: tough and physical.
And if they keep winning, it should only get better. Like that breeds buy-in, that breeds winning culture, all that stuff. Like I think Hackett's persona, like the goofy, fun-loving coach, look at Mike McDaniel. That works great if the team's winning. It's great. No one
Yeah,
has a problem with it. Team's losing, it's a problem. The hard-ass coach, look at Bill Belichick. It's great if the team's winning. It's
yeah,
not so great if the team's losing.
yeah,
And I think honestly, that's just probably the healthiest perspective to have right now. Sean Payton is not or has not been worth what they gave up for him. He isn't looking like an elite head coach at this point. But I also don't think it's terrible. I think he's probably somewhere in the middle of the road with all the additive elements he has. The position coaches on this staff are pretty dang impressive. And I think part of the reason you're seeing defense look as good as it is, I think, is a lot of the coaching.
yes,
It's been highlighted plenty, but don't have a single first round pick over there, and then the financial investment in it isn't that huge. And again, it might be the best defense in the league.
yeah.
Uh,
And I want to say this,
Dave, what
Zach.
other takes do you have? Sorry,
Oh yeah,
take it.
yeah. I want to say this again. Going back to Sean Payton, I talked about this with you last week, I think, but just credit to him, man. When you talk about hiring coaches, he's very good at that throughout his tenure. And credit to him. When Vance Joseph in that defense gave up 70 last year, he could have easily scapegoated him. That fits perfectly with the Sean Payton is just all about his ego, always having a fall guy type of
Very
thing.
true.
But like, he stayed loyal to him, allowed Vance Joseph to get the time that he needed with this defense. We saw, I think, our team get better for the most part as the year went on last year. And that's what I want to see this year, more particularly with the offense, see it get better. But continuity and not, fan reactionary stuff. This is why these guys are paid millions of dollars, man. And right now, holding on to Vance Joseph is looking like a spectacular decision. And I think we have some bright minds at the position coaching level that if he's ever to move on, I think that they can be promoted from within and have great success as well.
1,000%. And VJ, I think probably if the defense stays this good, he's going to get some head coaching looks this offseason, just as like hey, Arizona was a rough spot, maybe, or sorry, that was a DC look. Denver was a rough spot, maybe he deserved a second go at things. And if they do, Jim Leonard has
Yeah.
been one of the most highly thought of young defensive minds in the game for,
Yeah.
3-4 years now. He would be absolutely ready to come step up. And you highlighted how the secondary looks early on. Credit to Jim Leonard for that. And Parker was a great DB coach. They lose him.
Yeah.
Leonard has come in, and they might even be better. It's awesome.
Mhm.
Riley Moss should have had more snaps last year. I think he was just injured. I don't think he was what he is now last year. I'm feeling great about how Riley Moss looks. That might be my last point. That is
Yeah.
the most promising development for this team.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, man, when they've been able to take advantage of him, man, it's been some of these plays where it's broken down, like Lazard in the end zone. It's like, I mean, he's right on his hip, which is great, but like in the NFL, man, you're just going to deal with some of those calls sometime. I did not like the pass interference call there on that last drive. I did not like it at all. But that's just me with my orange and blue glasses on. I think that he's been great. Jaquan McMillan. There's just a lot of guys that, again, I think it's been great over the years. I think we've had some guys that have been louder on social media than in the games, And it's been great to see, man, that this team is just all about business, man. They go on this week and a half long business trip, and they come out 2-0 from it on the road. How often do the Broncos win in the East Coast with these 11 a.m. kickoffs? Not very often. I mean, I'm just so proud of this team. Never going to apologize for a win, and especially never going to apologize for a win on the road in just crazy conditions. So hopefully we can get things right on the offense next week. But yeah, I would always rather learn off of an experience like this where you're still getting the dub after showing your resilience in the second half than some of the games that we've seen in the recent years.
Yeah, and I heard that. I think I was saying this before the season, but I think it's so accurate.
Yeah,
Watch how this team goes. Like each quarter of the season, we're now through a quarter of the year. Like we've seen what Bo Nix was like for those first 4 games. All right,
yeah,
have that sample size in mind. Games 5 through 8, I want it to look, noticeably better on
yes,
average, on balance. And then you know what? I want games 9 through 12 to look a good bit better
hmm
than that on balance. Just every game's not going to be linear, but he just needs to keep building.
yeah.
And last week gives me the optimism that maybe that can keep up. But yeah, we'll wait and see. At 2-2, I'm feeling pretty dang good about the Denver Broncos at
With
two
the
and two. And
rookie
then the Buffs,
quarterback, man, like
yeah, that's
it
great.
just it feels incredible, man. 2-2, we're on a 2-game winning streak. I feel like, man, we should be in every game. I doubt we go undefeated from here on out, anything like that. But I think, man, we're going to be in every game this year, and it's great to see that we're already showing that resilience after those first 2 games, to now come back against this Jets game and win that single possession game. That is awesome to see. Let's build on it.
It was so sweet. It was amazing. All right. Well, I think, do you have any more takes you want to get off your chest before I
Yes,
wrap up,
yeah.
David?
I wanna give credit, man, to the
Take it.
offensive line and, Bo Nix in the terms of turnovers, man. We didn't get an interception from him today, right? Like, or did we?
That's a good point. I don't think he had a turnover, which, after 4 interceptions the first 2 weeks is a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. So, and, that's one positive to take out of his play, but
First
obviously.
passing touchdown, too.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry. First passing
Yeah.
touchdown, too. We haven't mentioned that. He finally gets on the board with a passing TD.
Yes, and that was great, but yeah, we wanna see him just start off more confident and poised every week as the season goes on. We haven't beat the Raiders in, like, 3 years or something crazy like that, so this is gonna be important for us to get off to a hot start with them, and again, Alex Palczewski, I think that, again, I haven't really noticed him, on the field, and I feel like that's a good thing, man. I feel like we're getting good offensive line play. Being one of the more expensive offensive lines in the NFL, like that's what I expect. Bo Nix wasn't taking any hits today, from what I remember, and hopefully we can get that running game continuing to get going a little bit quicker against the Raiders.
Fully agree. We're talking about one of the 5 most pressured quarterbacks in the game. Only sacked 4 times through 4 games. I mean,
Wow.
it's just a great job by him mitigating that too. It's the reason why Bree lost her bold prediction this week. But anyways, David, thank you so much for joining us again. We got to keep the good times rolling here. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell everyone where they can find you.
David Talks Broncos. Like, subscribe. I'll be on later tonight, talk with my friends Marky Sports and Jeremy Otten about the game, so that will be fun. And you can follow me on Twitter, David Talks Buffs, David Talks Sports, and then also on Facebook. If you guys got time, just go like David Talks Broncos. Just find that in the search bar. So if I get to 100 subs on there, I'm almost there. I can start live streaming to Facebook as well, and that's going to be nice. So thank you again for having me on, Zach. I
I need
feel
to
like
get
we
on
have
that.
to keep this thing going. And again, shout out to the mini helmet. Ever since my father-in-law gave me the mini helmet, man, we're 2-0, baby.
2-0. Let's keep it rolling. All right. Well, until next time, everybody, go Broncos, Sco Buffs. And
Yes.
yeah, 4-0 since the recap show started. Let's keep the good times rolling.